For this week's news, I'm going to try something a bit different. I've not scripted anything, I've got my headlines in front of me here, and I'm just going to rinse through them and we're going to talk about what's going on. So let's get into it. So starting off, this week in esports, your top stories are... Well, actually, this week is kind of going to be dictated by the Counter-Strike major here in Austin because one, I'm right here, so I've got all the news being fed directly into me. And two, there's not a whole lot going on out there right now. But there are some other little bits I want to talk about. So we're going to start off with the LEC. Na'Vi have just announced that they've purchased Rogue's spot in the LEC, which is kind of a massive deal. According to a statement put out by the Na'Vi CEO, apparently they've always wanted to join the league roster, like since Na'Vi's inception, but they've only now just finally managed to do it. I mean, they're kind of got their fingers in loads of other pies as well, so it sort of makes sense, but League is always kind of seen as like the big one, at least for me it is. Like, maybe that's because I'm biased, because that's where I first got into esports, but it feels like getting a spot in League is kind of like taking a step to the center stage. So the fact that Na'Vi are doing that is actually super exciting. I'm super excited for it. The only thing that's on my mind right now is that they're buying Rogue spot, which means that if you look on Liquipedia, it comes up with the Rogue roster. There's nothing wrong with the Rogue roster. However, when we get new teams in and new organizations into the league system, I kind of want to see new faces or a new team shuffle up that keeps it exciting. Otherwise, what's the point? It's a rebrand. If you still have Larson in mid lane, then it's still Rogue. So I'm kind of hoping they switch things up, but only time will tell. They did do a tweet, however, that said, "Who shall we sign?" So I'm kind of hoping that that is going to happen. They are going to switch it up, but we'll see. Before I dive into CS, there is one more thing I want to cover, and that is that the Esports Awards have announced a nominee list for the 10th anniversary of the Esports Awards. It doesn't feel yet like it's the Oscars that it's supposed to be. I get that it's a big deal, and I get that there's been some cool nominations for best creators or best casters, best content, and that's really good, but I don't know if it's quite recognized yet. So I'm glad to see it still going. I'm glad to see it hit the 10-year mark, and I just want to see more from it. Because I think it feels like, considering it's esports, they should be putting more stuff out there, maybe a bit more engaged with the audience. Instead, they're just kind of like, it happens, it feels like an industry insider sort of thing, and no one else really talks about it. So, I don't know. It's worth keeping an eye on, but I'm just putting it out there. You guys can do with the news whatever you want. I'm just letting you know it's happening. The nominees are out there. Go check them out if you want. But honestly, the thing that I'm just putting off here because I'm trying to talk about other stuff is CS2. And honestly, there's not a whole lot going on in the world around esports right now. Obviously, we've got Rocket League coming up. We've got the EWC coming up. We've got Cologne coming up, which is more CS. But we're here. We're in Austin. It's happening right now. So let's just do it. Let's just dive straight in. Okay. First thing I want to talk about that's on my list here, the Falcons throw. This was kind of crazy. So I watched this in the content office backstage with my team, and we were in disbelief. Seeing Falcons drop to 0-2 in the standings was already kind of like crazy, but we figured it was just like they were warming up or something like that. It's going to be fine. And then they hit 2-1, and we're thinking, okay, this is good. We're on the way back. And then the MIBR match happened. They pushed them to the limit, and MIB are now no longer here, but the fact that they pushed them that far, I mean, that's a huge win, like in anyone's book. You pushed one of the best teams in the world to the edge of what they could possibly do, and then you beat them, which was wild. I guess the talk of the town is the unlosable round, which everyone keeps saying. I've heard it from players, I've heard it from casters and analysts. It was unlosable. Holding B site on Inferno, unlosable. And they lost it. How can I break this down? Because they should have won the round. They had all the advantages, they had the bomb planted, it was in their control, and they still lost it. Which, as a casual player, it happens. But when you're competing at this level with a team and a roster like that, the firepower they had is just insane, and to lose it when you were that close is just gutting. I mean, you've seen there's posts and interviews with Nico where he says it's heartbreaking and it must suck to be him to go to like I think 16 majors he's been at and hasn't won yet. Everyone says, you know, he is the best player to have never won a major, and that's not the legacy that you want to go out on. Speaking of legacy, let's talk about legacy gaming. This random org that came up out of nowhere and somehow is kind of surprising everybody. They started out kind of fine. They were on the middle bracket of stage 1, which is cool, you know, 1-1, 2-1, then eventually 3-1, 3-2, they qualified into stage 2 with. That's great, like good for them. That's kind of, you know, what you could expect from sort of a tier 2 organization. However, going through stage 2 and 3-0ing it, I think threw everyone off. If you had that in your pick'ems, then you're wild. Now we're in this world where we have Legacy competing against Team Vitality, the top team in the world on a 30-game win streak, on track to take over NIP as the longest win streak in Counter-Strike history. And they did it again. They somehow surprised everyone and they beat Vitality. Yes, it was a best of 1. Everyone has their gripes about best of 1, but they still did it. They still beat this mental lineup of Vitality, this powerhouse. They beat them, and they beat them convincingly as well. I think Legacy finished something like 13-4 or something crazy like that, which is mad. What does that mean though? What does that mean for Vitality? Yes, they were on track to beat the all-time win streak record, but I want to talk about that a little bit. NIP had this run of 60 odd games where they'd won in a row. Amazing. But they did that in like 2013. And I feel like that was a different game. Like literally it was CSGO, obviously, I'm not saying that. But back then, once you kind of knew how to play the game to a high standard, you were kind of head and shoulders above everybody else. And I think the scene back then wasn't quite as sophisticated. So NIP figured out a way to play the game super efficiently and nobody else had kind of cottoned on yet. So what that meant is they went on this insane win streak because they were just simply better than everyone else. Vitality now, we're living in a world where that's not the case. We're living in a world now where everyone is super hot. Everyone, every team is not to be underestimated. Case in point, MIBR took out Falcons, Legacy beat Vitality. You cannot underestimate these teams. So Vitality going on a 30-game win streak, although, yeah, the number doesn't quite hit 60, it's half what that was, but they won 30 games in a row against the teams that play now. These teams now would all, back in 2013, be able to crack NIP's 60-game run because the rate of play is that much higher. So I'm just saying, I think that that's the new record that we should be looking at. I don't think we should be looking at NIP's 60-game record. This is like saying Fnatic won Worlds in League. You're not wrong. Technically, you're not wrong. But you're not right. Fnatic didn't win Worlds. They won the first big League of Legends championship. Yes, they did. But Worlds as we know it, that's a different thing altogether. And I feel like that's the same thing here in CS. I think in CS2 now, in the landscape that it is, with everyone playing the level they are, 30 games in a row is wild. And I think that is the record. I don't think that's going to be beaten anytime soon. I think the NIP thing will never be beaten because it was a different game. They had a different level of knowledge. The people they were playing with didn't have the same skill level, they didn't have the same game knowledge. It's just, it's like saying you can run faster than a toddler. Doesn't really mean anything. So I think now that's how we should be seeing it. I think Vitality have the #1 win streak, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. To go further on that, I spoke to Rops earlier this week on Media Day. You can see a little bit of that in my other content piece this week. And we spoke about the win streak, and we're like, you know, is this going to be ongoing? What do you think? What does the team think? And he said they want to get to 36 wins. We get to 36 wins because that's the major. But, and this is where I've just got so much respect for the guy. He said the win streak's not important. It's not about the win streak. He's like, if we lose a game at the major, doesn't matter. As long as they win the major. Anything else, it's irrelevant. And I thought that was such a cool and like professional athletic way to answer that question, because you've got to lose at some point. You have to. So why bother with the pressure of constantly having to win and trying to win for another 30 games when you just kind of go, it's going to happen, we're going to lose at some point, like whatever, as long as we win the thing that matters. The thing that matters is winning the trophy, and that's what their goal is. And I still think they can do it. I trust that team. I love that team. So, you know, we'll see what happens, but I'm still betting on Vitality. Moving on, the RMR has officially ended. There are no more RMRs anymore. People had their gripes with this anyway. The regional rank, I can never remember what it stands for. Oh my God. Point being, RMR's regional qualifications. They've got rid of those now and it's going to be down to standings. I think it's not a bad way to move forward, but I think the RMRs gave maybe more teams a chance that maybe weren't quite, you know, so high up in the rankings. So it's a shame to see that go, but maybe that will increase the rate of play. Maybe it'll be boring. I don't know, but we'll see at the next major. So kind of excited either way. Another side major piece, the Austin major stickers have now officially dropped. Why that's a big deal? So I think stickers are quite possibly one of the coolest things in esports, because it lets the audience vote with their wallet about what they want. And what I mean by that is, so when a team makes it to the top 16 teams at a Counter-Strike major, so once you get to kind of stage 3, which is where we're at now, you get your sticker in-game. And by sticker, I mean it's your team organization, or if you get a bit further, then it's like an autograph, but your own autograph on that sticker, which players can then buy, and they stick it on their guns, on their skins and stuff like that. Super easy. But why it's cool is that the way that Valve splits the profits from that. So if you buy a sticker for 79p or whatever it is, then Valve takes 50% of that, fine. The other 50% of that goes to the org. So let's just use, you know, say Team Legacy as an example, right? Or Legacy Gaming. These guys have kind of come up out of nowhere, made it to the top 16, so they get stickers now. Stickers mean sticker money. So yes, 50% of that money that, you know, gamers will then pay to get that sticker goes to Valve, who make Counter-Strike. But the other 50% goes to the organization. And now players might have different deals, and organizations might have different deals with how they split that to their players, but let's say on average it's the organization keeps half and then the players get half, split between them. Now this money, you know, when you think about stickers and how much they cost, you know, £1 here, or maybe you get a capsule of a few stickers for a few pounds. It's not a lot individually, but thousands of people do this. Like maybe millions, I don't know. I mean, probably millions actually, because players can make 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 each on their sticker money that they get. Now, if you're a team like Legacy, who kind of come up out of nowhere, who realistically probably aren't making a ton of money as professional players because they're not in the tier 1 organizations, they've now just kind of unlocked like a 50 grand bonus for themselves. Like imagine that in your job, you do fairly well, you do a bit better this year, then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, cool, because you did a bit better, here's 50 grand. What? Like, if you're coming up through the rankings as a player, this is game-changing amounts of money, and they don't win. They might not even win, sorry. Like, they might only just get to this point now and then just drop out. They might not even see the stage, but they get the sticker money, and that sticker money can change their life. And that money comes from fans, from supporters, from people like you and me who go, I like that team, I think they were cool to watch. Yeah, sure, I'll give them £3. It's nothing. But to them, it's life-changing. And I just think that's such a cool ecosystem. You vote with your wallet, you say, I like that this is how it goes. I like that these players are there and I want to help keep that ecosystem going. Or you just want a cool sticker, that's also fine. But I like to see it as I'm contributing back into it and going, yeah, this is sick. I want these players to be here. I want them to have this money because I want to see more events like this. Oh my God, that's the end. And that's the end of the news. That's all I've got. Oh no, there is one more thing. Standings right now at the Austin Major. So I gave you an update last week. I'm going to give you an update this week. Where are we sat right now? So obviously biggest upset, Falcons are gone. Nobody saw that coming, but you know, it happens. I always think with Brazilian teams in big competitions that they always ruin someone's day. They always mess up someone's day. And MIVR ruined Falcons' day. So we have two teams that have already qualified for the playoffs, so they will definitely be on stage. And those teams are Team Spirit and Furia. I love these teams. I think Spirit is so fun to watch. I think Donk is just, it's mesmerizing when you watch him because he is that good. It just doesn't make sense to me, but that's what makes it exciting to watch. And we've also got Furia. Furia are just crazy. And the fact that they've got Yakinda on their roster now, and this new guy, Molodoy, never really saw that being something that would push them this far, but they are smashing through the stages here. Some slightly spicier picks. FaZe, after what looked like a bit of a tricky stage 2, have now started to bounce back. They found their form. We've seen Simple kind of do simple things now, which is really exciting. Because I feel like I kind of missed the Simple era. So when everyone was watching this guy just absolutely dominate, I was only really just learning about Counter-Strike. So now I'm here seeing him do the things he can do, and it's just like, I wish I started earlier. But they are now in the upper bracket, so they are 2-1, which means that they are playing against Mongols tomorrow. If they win, they're through to the stage, and I'd love the Mongols to go through because it's really cool what they're doing for Asian CS, but I need to see FaZe on stage. I need to see Simple on stage. That's just too good. And I think that's something that, you know, if you're a FaZe fan, you know that when they hit the stage, that's when they really turn on. So that's going to be super exciting to see. Another one, we have VP and Vitality going up against each other. Now, this is an interesting one because VP absolutely smashed stage 2. They were 3-0. And then so far they've been, you know, they've been pretty strong contenders. But then when they played Furia earlier today, they got smashed hard. So I don't really know what to make of that. And the fact they're going against Vitality, obviously, I'm always going to be a bit biased towards Vitality. So hopefully Vitality get that because we need to see Vitality on the stage. I want that hype. Given their massive win streak and their incredible year so far, I think it'd be a shame if they don't. Or at least just give us one stage match. Even if it's quarterfinals, just please give me that. But really, I think we all know what we want the final to be. We all want to see FaZe and Vitality. I want to see Simple versus ZywOo on the big stage at the final in Austin. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping for it because that would just be, I think that actually might make my year. That'd be so awesome to see. Further than that, let's see what else we've got. And in the lower bracket, you know, it's less exciting. I mean, we've still got Na'Vi and G2 in the middle, but there's not a whole lot to be said on them right now. They're both playing fine CS. There's nothing really to report. Legacy, after a really strong start, are now down into the elimination stage, along with Lin Gaming, Pain, Mouse, 3D Max, and Aurora. It feels like the standings have now evened out to where they should be. Like, we should have VP, Vitality, and FaZe and stuff all in the top. That's where it should be. And we should have, I'm sorry, but we should have Pain, we should have Legacy, 3D Max in the bottom half of the bracket. It's just a shame, but we want the tier 1 orgs on the stage because that's where you get the real banger games. It is kind of sad though that some teams like Aurora won't be there, or at least they look like they won't be there right now. The biggest surprise is Mouse, that are also in that 1-2 bracket. So if they lose tomorrow, then they're done, they're out. You sort of expect that team to make it to the stage, but you know, Falcons didn't make it to the stage. Stranger things have happened. So really, only time will tell. And that's all I've got for you this week in esports, and that's quite CS heavy, but that's because the main thing going on in the esports world right now is the CS major in Austin. So that's what's going on. That's what you get. But we'll see what's happening next week, obviously leading into the Rocket League major in Raleigh, and then also the EWC kind of creeping up right on its heels. So there could be some news stories dropping fairly soon, and obviously I will keep my finger on the pulse about the LEC standings, and we'll see if Na'Vi start announcing anything interesting about their roster. So anyway, let's wrap this thing up, and I will see you next week for more This Week in Esports. See you then.